In today's world, attention is fleeting. If they're not thinking about you, they're thinking about someone else. That's the brutal reality of modern attraction. But here's what most people get wrong. Constantly proving your worth, always being available, and chasing after someone doesn't make you irresistible. It makes you forgettable. Think about it. When was the last time you truly craved something that was handed to you too easily? When something is predictable, the mind stops wondering about it. There's no mystery, no pull. That's how attraction dies, through overexposure and predictability. People don't desire what's always there. They desire what makes them think, what keeps them guessing, what creates an emotional spark they can't ignore. It's not about being distant or playing games. It's about understanding the push and pull of human psychology, when to step forward, when to step back, and how to create an experience so intriguing they can't help but want more. The ancient Stoics understood this well. They knew that control wasn't about forcing outcomes, but about mastering presence and absence. Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." The same goes for attraction. It's not about forcing someone to want you. It's about becoming the kind of person they naturally gravitate toward. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to make that happen. How to make them think about you even when you're not around. How to build a presence so strong that your absence is felt. And how to make sure you're the one they keep coming back to. But here's the deal. You have to watch till the very end, because at the end of this video, I'm going to give you something powerful, something that will change the way you see attraction forever, a key that will unlock a whole new level of confidence and control in your relationships. So, stay with me. And before we dive deep, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so you never miss another life-changing lesson. Also, I want you to comment below with this affirmation: I am valuable. Because that's where it all starts, with knowing your own worth. Let's get into it. 1. Say less, make them want more. Words have power, but too many words lose their weight. Every time you open your mouth, you're either drawing them in or pushing them away. Most people think talking more keeps someone interested, that filling every silence stops the connection from fading. But real attraction doesn't work that way. The kind that lingers in their mind long after you're gone, the kind that makes them replay your words, wonder about you, crave more, comes from something deeper. The ancient Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Let your words be few and well considered." They weren't against speaking, they were against wasting words. Every unnecessary sentence dilutes the meaning of what truly matters. A person who speaks with precision, who knows when to pause, when to say just enough, commands a different kind of attention. They don't just talk, they leave an impression. Imagine this: someone who constantly explains themselves, fills every gap with chatter, or rambles just to keep the other person engaged. That's not confidence, it's insecurity dressed up in words. A person who truly knows their worth doesn't need to prove it with endless talking. They know silence isn't a void to be feared, it's a tool to be used. They ask what you're doing this weekend. The average person spills their whole schedule, hoping to seem impressive or interesting. The powerful one, they keep it simple, just enough to make the other person curious. Got some plans? We'll see how it goes. Nothing more, no over-explaining, no nervous follow-up. And in that moment, something happens. The other person's mind starts working. Plans with who? Doing what? Why aren't they telling me more? That's the space where attraction builds. Not in what you say, but in what you leave unsaid, because their imagination. It's far more powerful than any words you could string together. This is the mistake most people make. They think if they stop talking, the moment will fall apart. That if they don't immediately respond, the other person will lose interest. But silence doesn't kill attraction, predictability does. A person who is too available, too eager to fill every gap with explanations and reassurances, becomes ordinary. And ordinary never leaves a lasting mark. Think of it like music. What makes a song powerful isn't just the notes, it's the pauses between them. Those spaces create rhythm, anticipation, emotion. If a song was just one long, never-ending sound, it would lose all its impact. The same goes for your words. When you speak with restraint, when you choose your moments wisely, your presence carries more weight. They don't need a full report of your day. They don't need every thought running through your mind. What they need is intrigue, something to think about, a reason to wonder. Some might wonder, but won't they get frustrated if I don't say enough? No, people are drawn to those who don't give everything away too easily. If they're intrigued, they're invested. And investment breeds attraction. Others might ask, what if they lose interest because I don't talk much? Then they were never truly interested in you, only in what you could give them. Someone who values you won't need you to entertain them with words. They'll be drawn to your energy, your presence, your controlled mystery. There's a reason the most magnetic individuals in history, from emperors to legends, were never the ones who talked the most. They were the ones who spoke with purpose. The ones who understood that silence, when used correctly, is louder than any speech. So next time you find yourself explaining too much, over-talking, trying to impress them with words, pause. Hold back just enough. Let them lean in instead of stepping forward too quickly. Because the person who doesn't feel the need to fill every silence, that's the one they won't stop thinking about. Say less. Make them want more. 2. Leave before the flame dies. One of the biggest mistakes people make, without even realizing it, is staying just a little too long. Whether it's a text conversation that drags on until there's nothing left to say, a date that stretches past the spark, or a phone call that fizzles instead of ending on a high note, overstaying kills curiosity. It leaves nothing to wonder about, nothing to miss. The truth is, desire doesn't grow when someone is fully satisfied. It grows in the space where they almost got enough of you, but not quite. When you leave while the energy is still alive, when the conversation is still fun, when the moment is still light, you create space for them to want more. You walk away, and in that silence, they start to feel the pull. They replay the things you said, the way you made them laugh, the way you looked at them before you left. That replaying only happens when there's something to miss. Think about a great song. The ones that stay in your head aren't the ones that drag on forever. They're the ones that cut off just before you're ready. The ones that leave you humming the melody long after they've ended. But when a song overstays its welcome, it becomes background noise, something you start tuning out instead of craving again. Attraction works the same way. The Stoics understood this deeply. They lived with the awareness that all things are temporary. No moment, no feeling, no person lasts forever. Epictetus reminded us, don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace. That acceptance of impermanence isn't just wisdom, it's magnetic. When you truly embrace the fact that nothing lasts, you stop clinging. You move with ease. You understand that every conversation, every date, every moment has a natural ending, and you're not afraid to let it end before it fades into something dull. Some people might ask, but what if they forget about me? They won't. The mind doesn't crave what it already has. It craves what it can't fully grasp. That's why we remember people who left an impact but didn't overstay. That's why an unfinished story lingers longer than one that drags on with no end in sight. Others might wonder, what if they lose interest because I didn't stay longer? If someone only wants you when you're always there, then they were never truly interested in you. They were interested in convenience. Real attraction isn't built on constant presence. It's built in the quiet spaces where someone wonders when they'll see you again, where they notice your absence, where their own thoughts about you start to fill the gaps. Who leaves a stronger impression? The person who stays until the energy dies, until the conversation feels forced, until the other person starts looking at their phone, hoping it wraps up. Or the one who leaves them smiling, still laughing, still wanting just a little more. The person who lingers too long becomes predictable, easy to take for granted. The one who walks away at the right moment stays in their mind, locked in as the best version of themselves. It's not about playing games, it's about respecting the natural rhythm of attraction. It's about understanding that space, real space, fuels desire. Attraction doesn't need constant fuel, it needs air. So whether it's your texts, your time together, or even the sound of your voice on the phone, learn to leave just a moment too soon. Let them feel the quiet that comes after you walk away, the space where curiosity can bloom. Because when they're left with questions instead of answers, with feelings instead of explanations, that's when they'll find themselves wanting more. And that's how you stay on their mind long after you're gone. 3. Unshaken in the storm. Most people crumble when faced with a test. And let's be real, it will happen. Maybe they pull back, grow distant just to see how you'll react. Maybe they throw a sharp comment your way to poke at your ego. Maybe they make you feel like you're slipping down their list of priorities, like you're just an option instead of a priority. And most people, they panic, they chase, they over-explain, they flood their inbox with texts, desperate to pull them back in, desperate to regain control. But control was never theirs to lose, because the moment someone sees they can shake you, they know they can lead you, that you're just like everyone else, easily swayed, easily controlled. And what's predictable is never intriguing. A Stoic doesn't move like that. They don't react. They don't break their frame. They don't rush to prove their worth or explain themselves. Their emotions belong to them, not to someone else's moods or tests. Whether they're being pulled close or pushed away, whether they're met with affection or distance, nothing shifts their foundation. Their peace isn't borrowed, it comes from within. And because that kind of inner stillness is rare, it's magnetic. It leaves people wondering, why aren't they reacting? Why aren't they scrambling for attention? Why are they so calm when anyone else would be unraveling? Is it confidence? Is it self-respect? Is it because they have options? That need to figure you out, that's where curiosity is born. Think of it like this. If someone can predict your every move, there's nothing left to discover. If they know that a little silence or distance will send you spiraling, they hold all the power. But if you remain steady, unmoved, following your own rhythm regardless of what they do, suddenly they're the one leaning in. They're the one wondering what's going on in your mind. That space between what they expect and how you actually respond, that's what keeps them hooked. A river never begs the rocks to move out of its way. It flows around them, untouched by their resistance. And just like that, the person who cannot be shaken, who refuses to let outside forces dictate their inner world, commands a different kind of respect. Some might wonder, but if I don't react, won't they think I don't care? No, they'll think you're different. They'll sense something solid in you, something they can't quite place, and that unknown is far more powerful than any desperate explanation you could give. Others might ask, what if they pull away completely? Then they were never meant to stay. Let them go. True connection is built on mutual respect, not one person endlessly trying to prove their worth. And when you move with this kind of quiet confidence, you'll find that more often than not, they come back. Not because you chased them, but because they felt your absence in a way they didn't expect. So the next time you're tested, whether it's distance, silence, or a sharp remark, pause. Don't chase, don't argue, don't explain. Just exist. Let them feel the weight of your calm presence. Let them wonder why you're different. Let their curiosity grow in the silence you leave behind. Because the one who cannot be shaken, that's the one they won't forget. 4. A taste, not the whole feast. One of the fastest ways to kill curiosity is to hand everything over too soon. When you spill your entire life, your thoughts, your past, your plans, all in one breath, you leave nothing left to uncover. Mystery dies the moment there's nothing left to figure out. But when you show just enough, a glimpse here, a small piece there, you keep the door cracked open, not wide open. They catch flashes of your humor, your ambition, your depth, but never the full picture all at once. And that space, the gap between what they know and what they want to know, is where desire lives. Maybe they see how you carry yourself, how calm you are under pressure, but they have no idea what truly drives you when no one's watching. Maybe you mention your passions, but you don't map out every goal you have. You let them wonder. You let them try to piece together who you really are beneath the surface. That effort, that curiosity, that slow unraveling pulls them in deeper than any story you could tell in full. Marcus Aurelius said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." When your life, your value, your identity become something they have to earn access to, not something you freely hand over just to impress them, you keep control. You show them that your world isn't an open book for just anyone. It's a story that has to be read between the lines, not handed out in one long monologue. Think of a great movie trailer. The best ones don't give away the entire plot. They don't spoil the ending. They show just enough to get you excited, to make you start imagining the full story. That's how you should be. A glimpse of where you're headed, a hint of what really makes you tick, but never the full picture all at once. Because curiosity isn't built on what's given, it's built on what's withheld. Some might wonder, but isn't honesty important? Shouldn't I be open? Honesty isn't about dumping everything at once. It's about knowing when to share and who has earned that level of access to you. Most people overshare because they think vulnerability means revealing everything immediately. But real vulnerability is knowing what parts of you deserve to stay private until someone proves they can handle them. Others might ask, but what if they think I'm hiding something? Let them wonder. True intrigue comes from depth, from layers. If you hand everything over in one night, what's left for them to discover? The most compelling people aren't the ones who are the loudest about their lives. They're the ones who make you want to know more, the ones who don't feel the need to over-explain. Most people are quick to lay everything out because they think it will create connection. They believe that explaining every detail, answering every question in full, will make someone feel closer to them. But connection isn't built through information. It's built through experience. It's not about how much you say. It's about how much they feel when they're around you. So next time you feel the pull to explain yourself, to tell your whole life story in one sitting, or to answer every question with full detail. Pause. Let them wonder. Let their imagination fill in the blanks. Give them just a taste and leave them wanting more. Because that's how curiosity grows, and that's how you stay on their mind long after you've walked away. 5. Steady as a rock, light as the wind. People are drawn to those who keep them on their toes, not in a chaotic or unreliable way, but in a way that keeps them engaged, keeps them guessing. When someone knows exactly how you'll respond, exactly what you'll do next, the excitement fades. But when you move with contrast, playful one moment, deeply focused the next, you create an energy that holds their attention. It's the tension between the known and the unknown that makes them lean in, wondering what side of you they'll get next. Most people either lean too far in one direction or the other. Some are too predictable, always available, always the same, and eventually they get tuned out. Others are all over the place, erratic, inconsistent, unreliable. That doesn't make someone curious, it just makes them lose respect. But the person who finds the balance between unpredictability and stability, that's the one who stands out. They adapt when needed, but never lose themselves in the process. They move with purpose, shifting when necessary, but never chasing approval. That kind of presence is rare, and rare things are irresistible. Imagine this: one day you're playful, teasing, bringing a light energy that makes them laugh. The next, you're locked into your work, your ambitions, your thoughts, not distant, but immersed in your world. That shift keeps their mind engaged. They see that you're not one-dimensional, that you have layers. But no matter what, your foundation remains solid. This balance isn't just about attraction, it's about self-mastery. The Stoics believed that a person should be fluid in action, but firm in principle. Epictetus said, "No person is free who is not master of themselves." That means you can adapt, you can surprise, you can be unpredictable in ways that spark curiosity. But at your core, you remain unshakable. You don't change to seek approval. You don't shift out of insecurity. You move because it's in your nature to evolve, to grow, to challenge both yourself and the world around you. And that's addictive. Some might wonder, but if I don't always act the same way, won't I seem inconsistent? No, consistency isn't about being the same every second. It's about having a foundation that doesn't waver. It's about showing that you can be both playful and serious, both spontaneous and disciplined, both warm and distant when needed. That kind of depth is what keeps people invested. If they can put you in a box, they'll stop thinking about you. If they can't quite figure you out, they'll keep coming back for more. Others might ask, but isn't stability attractive? Absolutely. But stability doesn't mean predictability. It means being solid in who you are while still keeping things dynamic. It means being able to shift without losing yourself. The ocean is stable. It's always there, always powerful, but its surface is constantly changing, unpredictable, yet grounded. That's the kind of presence that sticks in someone's mind long after you've left the room. So, don't be afraid to mix things up. Keep them on their toes in the best way possible. Let them feel the contrast of light and shadow, knowing that at your core, you are unshakable. Because the person who is both unpredictable and grounded, that's the one they'll never forget. 6. Let absence speak louder. Space is one of the most powerful tools you have, if you know how to use it. Most people are afraid of it. They rush to fill every silence, to close every gap, to stay in constant contact because they believe closeness equals connection. But the truth is, curiosity can't survive in constant closeness. It needs air to breathe. When you step back, not out of anger, not to punish, but from a calm place of self-respect, you give the other person's mind room to wander. And that's where the real magic happens. They start replaying conversations, wondering what you're thinking, questioning why you seem so at peace in their absence. That wondering is what makes them lean in. Most people make the mistake of thinking attraction is about constant effort, always proving themselves, always showing up, always reassuring, always entertaining. But the person who understands presence also understands that absence, when used wisely, can be even more powerful. When you can step back with quiet confidence, without bitterness or fear, you send a message without saying a word. I am whole with or without you. That kind of calm detachment is rare, and that's exactly why it's so compelling. It's not indifference, it's self-mastery. It's the kind of self-control Marcus Aurelius spoke of when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you embody that mindset, when you're comfortable stepping back because you trust your own value, people feel it. And because they feel it, they start craving the reassurance that they still have a hold on you. Imagine someone who is always in front of you, always talking, always available. There's nothing left to figure out. There's no space for longing, no room for desire to grow. But when someone pulls back, not with drama, not with resentment, but with effortless ease, it creates a gap. And human nature can't resist filling that gap with thoughts, questions, and yes, curiosity. Maybe you were texting every day and suddenly you step back, not to play games, but to focus on your work, your purpose, your own peace. Not with coldness, not with resentment, just because your life is bigger than their attention. That shift plants a seed in their mind. Why aren't they reaching out? Are they losing interest? Is there someone else? And the more space they have to wonder, the more they start to feel your absence. And that's where desire grows, in the empty spaces left behind. Some might wonder, but won't they forget about me? No. People don't forget what leaves an imprint. They forget what's overly familiar, what's always there, what no longer makes them think. The absence of something valuable is always felt. The key is to make sure your presence was meaningful before you step away. Others might ask, but what if they move on? Then they were never truly invested. People don't walk away from what intrigues them. They don't move on from something they're still trying to figure out. Space doesn't push the right person away. It draws them in. The person who knows how to use silence, who can step back without insecurity, who can let others wonder, that's the person who becomes unforgettable. The Stoic knows that silence isn't empty. It's filled with meaning if you're confident enough to let it sit. So don't be afraid to step back. Let their imagination do some of the work. Let curiosity feed on the space you create, because when you leave just enough room to be missed, that's when they'll want you even more. 7. Sought, never in pursuit. Some people don't scramble for approval. They don't need to be in anyone's good graces to feel like they are enough. And because they don't chase, they become the ones others can't get out of their heads. It isn't arrogance or coldness. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows their value isn't up for negotiation. Most think the only way to show interest is by chasing, flooding the other person's phone with messages, asking for their time, and trying to impress them with compliments or constant availability. The problem is that this approach reveals who is actually in control of the dynamic. When someone sees you value their attention more than your own self-respect, the balance shifts. and you become the pursuer, not the prize. A Stoic-minded individual moves differently. They don't deny desire, but they never become a slave to it. They want connection, but don't need it to feel whole. Their attention must be earned, not handed out, simply because someone is attractive or shows a bit of interest. Purpose, personal growth, self-mastery, those come first. And that quiet sense of direction, that ability to walk away when something doesn't align with one's values, forms a powerful aura. It tells the world, I am here by choice, not by desperation. In that quiet stance lies an irresistible magnetism. Why? Because people begin to wonder, why aren't they chasing like everyone else? Why don't they crave attention the way most do? In other words, what is so fulfilling in their life that they can stand calmly on their own 2 feet, undisturbed by someone else's approval or rejection? That's precisely where curiosity is born, right in the gap between what most people do and what the unchaste individual actually does. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same wisdom applies to human connection. Craving another person's validation can become an obsession, leaving little room for self-respect. But when someone values a bond, yet doesn't need it to feel worthy, they become rare, and what's rare is inherently valuable. Picture the difference between water flowing from a broken faucet, dripping endlessly, offering itself without hesitation, and a hidden spring deep in the forest, protected by roots and rocks, available only to those who venture far enough to find it. The faucet is predictable, taken for granted, overlooked. The spring is mysterious and precious because it's not available to everyone. This contrast explains why constantly chasing someone can ruin intrigue. When you are always the first to text, to call, to ask if they're free, you give them no reason to wonder about you. Predictability breeds indifference. Yet some might ask, how do I show genuine interest without chasing? Don't I risk losing the opportunity if I hold back too much? Real interest doesn't mean suffocating another person with attention. It means being present and engaged when you choose to interact, but not revolving your entire existence around them. It's about offering quality over quantity, thoughtful conversations instead of constant check-ins, meaningful gestures instead of relentless reminders that you're there. Others might wonder, but if I stop chasing, won't the other person just forget me? They won't forget what stands out. People forget what's easily obtained. When you're always on someone's screen, always explaining your worth, you become like a billboard everyone drives by without really seeing. But if your presence is earned and not guaranteed, you're no longer a constant. You're an experience to be revisited and rediscovered. Some also fear, what if they meet someone else because I didn't chase hard enough? If a connection depends on you chasing non-stop, then it wasn't built on genuine respect or chemistry. Relationships formed under constant pursuit often crumble when the pursuit ends. Meanwhile, a bond rooted in mutual respect and shared interest grows even when there's temporary distance. The right people are drawn to substance, not just availability. Consider how ancient Stoics navigated life, with focus on what they could control, themselves, while letting go of what they couldn't. They understood that attaching one's self-worth to external validation is a losing battle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The same principle applies to human dynamics. You can't force another person's heart to be yours, but you can maintain a sense of self that is unwavering. When you value your time, energy, and peace the way a Stoic would, you naturally stop chasing. You don't withdraw affection or become frigid. You simply stop putting another person on a pedestal, and that shift is profound. It says, "My life is meaningful whether you're here or not." That doesn't mean there's no room for connection. It means connection is an addition, not your entire foundation. Picture a tree with strong roots. A storm might come, branches might sway, but the trunk remains solid. People who chase often act like leaves, scattered, frail, and at the mercy of the wind. Those who know their worth, though, are like that trunk, grounded, firm, and alive. This presence can't be ignored, and it doesn't beg for attention. Instead, it naturally draws interest because it's so uncommon. When someone realizes that you're not afraid to walk away, that your life is already fulfilling on its own, it sparks a deeper kind of intrigue. Why don't they need me the way others do? What fuels their unwavering confidence? These questions create a fascination that simple flattery or relentless messages can never achieve. Desire the unchaste. It doesn't mean rejecting the joy of connection. It means refusing to abandon self-worth for the sake of another's approval. In that space of quiet certainty, you invite others to step into your world on equal footing, and that, in the end, is what lingers in the mind long after everything else fades away. 8. Carry a rare vibe. Many people fall into one of two extremes when they try to captivate someone. They are either too eager, always chasing, constantly available, desperate to prove their worth, or they swing too far the other way, becoming cold, aloof, or emotionally unavailable in an attempt to appear mysterious. Neither approach sustains genuine attraction. There is a middle path, a rare energy that moves with balance, fully present one moment, purposefully absent the next, without apology or guilt. This ebb and flow forms a rhythm that others can't fully predict or control, drawing them in and leaving them wanting more. When your time, your attention, and your presence become valuable, not just to them, but also to you, everything changes. Many people fling their attention around as if it has no real worth, hoping that an outpouring of interest will prove their value. Yet attention that's always available soon loses its impact. It's those who treat their time like gold, who share their presence selectively, who end up becoming the ones most valued and remembered. Seneca famously observed that nothing is as precious as time, yet people waste it as if it were nothing. A Stoic-minded individual recognizes that time is life itself and is therefore careful about where it's spent. This person isn't cold, they're intentional, they're not withholding, they're discerning. Such a mindset radiates a magnetic energy because it sends a clear, unspoken message. I value myself, and I expect that value to be acknowledged. Consider a scenario where you're on a date and you choose to be fully present. You keep your phone in your pocket and lock your attention on the other person, listening closely and engaging completely. They feel this focused presence, almost like a spotlight shining only on them. But when the evening is over, you don't linger, you don't flood them with texts. Instead, you return to your own pursuits, your own orbit. That uncertainty of when they'll experience that level of presence again makes it infinitely more treasured. Too many believe that presence equals constant proximity, but true presence, the kind that lingers in someone's thoughts, comes from contrast. It's the presence of someone grounded enough to be all in when they're there, but rare enough to spark curiosity. They understand the power of surprise, of letting people wonder when that heightened attention might come next. This isn't about playing games or acting superior. It's about living with depth and knowing your life holds many important elements beyond one relationship. That's what creates a rare vibe, one that's both welcoming and just a little out of reach. People might ask, isn't being there all the time the best way to show someone you care? In some cases, yes, especially if real needs must be met or mutual support is essential. But in the realm of attraction and intrigue, relentless availability dulls excitement. Rare treasures aren't scattered on sidewalks. They're often protected or hidden, discovered only by those who genuinely seek them out. In the same way, your time and presence become more precious when they aren't constantly on offer. Others might wonder, isn't this approach manipulative, trying to make someone want you by being scarce? It isn't scarce when you truly have a fulfilling life that doesn't revolve around another person's attention. Scarcity becomes manipulation only if you deliberately withhold yourself to create a false sense of value. Authentic rarity is the product of genuinely caring about your growth, your passions, and your peace of mind. When you have a purpose that fuels you, you'll naturally be less inclined to hand out unlimited access to your focus. This quiet confidence and sense of direction can't be faked for long. It has to come from real interests and aspirations. Think of it as being a mountain rather than a leaf. A leaf blows about in the wind, easy to move, always in motion without stability. A mountain, by contrast, is steadfast. It may be beautiful, challenging, or even imposing, but it doesn't follow the wind's whims. People look up to mountains, marvel at them, wonder about the paths and caves hidden along their slopes. This sense of groundedness, paired with the subtle unpredictability of what someone might discover, keeps people intrigued. That's the heart of a rare vibe, present, engaged, and attentive when you choose, yet never dependent on constant approval to feel whole. You become valuable not because you're withholding your presence, but because you genuinely treasure it. You show up wholeheartedly, then comfortably step back into your own life without fuss or fanfare. This rhythm gives others space to miss you, to replay your shared moments, and to realize that catching your attention again isn't guaranteed. Carrying this rare vibe isn't about superiority or arrogance. It's about recognizing your own depth and allowing others the gift of discovering it layer by layer. When you hold firm to your self-worth and treat your attention as something precious, people tend to return that sentiment. You stand out, not because you're loud or distant, but because you blend presence with self-respect in a way that so few are willing or able to do. That is what lingers in their mind long after the conversation has ended, sparking curiosity and leaving them eager for more.